See, the government likes to covertly test the emergency response system every once in a while to see how people mobilize, the authorities respond, and the public react.
As much as
60,000 dead. And that's not his obsession.
Wait a minute. So this is just a drill?
Exactly. They do it all the time. You remember H1N1?
Yeah.
A drill. Remember SARS?
Yeah.
A drill. Y'all remember the bird flu?
It's a drill too?
No, that one was true. Don't mess with them birds.
You're talking about a virus. A contagious virus.
Very good. You must have been first in your class.
Well, what about my mom?
Did they say she was a carrier?
She just got back from Mexico. She got all kind of symptoms, like cramping, vomiting.
Did she drink the water?
She said she just had margaritas.
Straight up or blended?
Blended, I think.
Blended with ice cubes from Mexican water. Okay, so I know what she got, all right? She got a slight case of Montezuma's Revenge with a little case of the BGs. That's the bubble guts.
Does that mean we can leave?
No, y'all have to stay here. See, the head of the CDC, they the only ones who know it's a drill. So if y'all leave, I'm sorry, they're gonna have to take you out.
So we're stuck in this house for 12 more hours?
That's what the cards are for. Me, I'm out. I got the rendezvous with my unit up in the Nevada desert. We going to Vegas.
It's quite harmless, of course. CV-1000 is a carrier virus that can be bonded with antigens.
You gotta go big far on this shit. Invent the disease. Make yourself a cure.
Hey Lucy, you hear they're kicking us off YouTube? What's YouTube? Well, you know when we go for walks every day, and I take this camera, I put it on this site called YouTube. Oh, that's why everywhere I go, everyone knows my name. So another video ban, that's the third one out of the last about 6 videos we've done. This one was the one I did just a couple days ago, where I had to fight off 4 Jack Terrier dogs twice. I guess that's against the, well, let's see what the reason is they took it down. Hi, the Dollar Vigilante. As you may know, our community guidelines describe which content we allow and don't allow on YouTube. Your video, You Still Asleep? You Better Wake Up Fast, was flagged to us for review. Upon review, we've determined that it violates our guidelines and we removed it from YouTube. Video content restrictions, content that violates YouTube's terms of service or that encourages others to do so, is not allowed on YouTube. Well, that's about 4 videos now that we've apparently violated the user terms and guidelines. I've gone through it a little bit, barely, skimmed it. It's all very vague and general stuff. No hate speech. If anything, I'm all love speech. I'm not really sure what well, I actually do know what they're doing. Anyone who spreads any information that is contrary to the mainstream media narrative, especially in regards to this, I'm not even going to say the word. I'll say it in Spanish, even though it sounds similar. Virus. Or anything to do with the new telecommunication lines they're putting in, or anything challenging the, I don't even want to use that word. See, I'm actually glad that we're not going to be on YouTube anymore because I can actually say what I want to say. Because almost everything now is unallowed. But if you challenge the fact that people shouldn't be staying in their houses for months or years, it's crazy, I know, then they'll take that down too. So this is going to be my most Vegas video ever, just to see if this one can stay up. And if this one pretty much gets taken down, then I'll probably pretty much just stop posting here. And I don't know if it's against their guidelines or not to let you know other places I might be if I'm not here. But you could We have a website. I'm not saying you should go there. It's called $vigilante.com, but I'm not suggesting you go there. If you did, which I don't suggest you do, you could sign up to our free email list, so at least you could stay in contact with us. There's some other sites too, but I don't suggest you go there. I think one that I don't suggest you go to is called BitChute. And the other one I don't suggest you go to is lbry.tv. Don't go to those places, but I hear that's where some people go. And so I'm going to try to get through this without saying anything that I think might trigger them to delete the video, which is all the more reason to check us out elsewhere. I got a party going on over there. Guy in his hot tub, just turn up the music. Also, David ICKE was completely removed from FBI book yesterday. We were pretty much, well, we weren't fully removed, but they were saying that most people won't see our content anymore on FBI book. So the purge is well into effect. This is what we've been talking about for the last year, saying this was going to happen. Pretty much everything I've said has happened. And there's even a doctor, I don't want to say his name, Doctor, I think it's something like Rashid. And it's like margarine. You know when you put stuff on bread, but it's not margarine? He's been actually saying some pretty interesting stuff, like sounds a lot more like me than I thought. I'll put up a minute or two of something. He's been banned everywhere, so, you know, I really am chancing it by putting it on this video. But it's just a minute or two, and hopefully our overlords, hopefully Mr. Gates and Mr. Rothschild and Mr. Rockefeller and all those people, hopefully they allow us to post just a minute or two of this video.
The Stanford study said this shows that the rate of death from COVID-19 is no different from influenza. That's what the study showed. Do you know what mainstream reported? That the study showed this is more rampant than anywhere else on the planet. It's more rampant than we thought. Well, of course it is. I think the entire population of the world's been exposed to it. But they didn't focus on that part of it. They just said, because a study, Stanford study said that we think it's much more widespread, but the death rate is no difference in flu. And in fact, that's based upon the data that they're giving, the data that's being reported for cause of death. But you know the memes right now. You fall out of a plane without a parachute, cause of death, COVID-19. You get shot in the head, COVID-19 killed you. You have a heart attack, COVID-19. They're putting the cause of death as COVID-19 for almost everything right now. When a surgeon wears a mask, and when a nurse wears a mask with a critical patient, we're not wearing that mask to protect ourselves. When you're doing open heart surgery, you're replacing a knee, or you're doing some kind of hernia repair, you're wearing the mask so you don't drool, you don't spit, you don't cough, you don't sneeze into that open surgical field, so because you're keeping it sterile, all right? What are you doing when you're wearing a face mask? A face mask reduces the amount of oxygen coming in. So now your body's in a chronic state of stress. And that face mask is obstructing airway. They're pushing this agenda, and it's an agenda to make people weaker, to make them more susceptible. The face mask then also prevents, when your body's being stressed out and you're not getting enough oxygen, it then creates other issues. You remember they said don't touch your face and don't okay, well, if you're sweating and you've got the face mask, don't you think people are going to be pushing it around? On top of that, when you have this release of viruses, because viruses live inside our cells, when I say live, they're not living, but when they're released, and you're wearing a face mask, you're preventing the ability to, you're actually stressing the body out and increasing the viral activation, if you will. All right, so you're actually increasing the susceptibility of the individual, stress-wise, and increasing the viral load.
So there's not much left on the main CIA sites anymore. And I have to say, some of those other sites are really improving. I would never suggest that you ever do this, but BitChute is pretty good, and it's even got a really nice little app for your phone. But I'm not suggesting you ever use that. Stay here on YouTube where we can get the official narrative and the propaganda. That's what we should do. And I should also mention with library, I've heard a few people say, and I know this is true, that sometimes the videos kind of don't play all the way through. They pause quite a bit. And the reason for that is that all videos served on LBRY are served from individuals' computers. So if you get the app, which I don't suggest you do, and it's an app on your computer, and you run it, you will actually use, I believe, I still haven't looked into the full technical details, a certain amount of your hard drive space to store videos like ours or whoever's. So when someone goes to their app or their site and clicks on the video, it starts uploading it from individuals' computers across the world. And part of the problem, if you're getting a low, if it pauses or syncs, doesn't keep playing a lot, is that people in your area, there's not enough of them who have this app and who are serving the videos. So, just like many things in this world, if you'd like to see a completely decentralized video option out there, that's the only one I know about is LBRY. And if you were to download the app, which I don't recommend you do, you become part of the network to make sure the network's better. And that's what it could really use is a lot more people doing that. And I think you even get paid for it. So for all the people out there just lost their job and they're wondering how they're gonna have food to eat, even though there's not gonna be much food left anymore, check it out. Might be a nice little way to make a little bit of money. And of course, if you post videos on places like LBRY, you also get LBRY coin as well. And even just by buying some LBRY LBC coin, you can help to increase the incentive for people to be running this app, which means that we would have a way to get out videos that are completely unblockable, just like Bitcoin, basically. And if you wanted to buy some coin, and actually I mentioned it a few days ago, and it was up 10% yesterday, it's up 10% today. So even if you just did it when I mentioned, you'd already be up 20% or more. That's not bad, right? The biggest exchange for LBC, by the way, is CoinX, which you can get at $vigilante.com/CoinX. And another great thing too, like for a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm used to ThemeTube, I don't want to switch. Well, first of all, there's hardly any good content on ThemeTube anymore. So that's one big reason to switch. If you enjoy content like mine, you probably enjoy other people's content like this. And when you go to YouTube, you're mostly going to be getting mainstream media stuff, Jimmy Kimmel and Ellen DeGenerate. But no, you don't get any of that over on BitChute or LBRY. But I don't suggest you go over there or switch. But an even bigger benefit, there's so many benefits, is, I don't know about BitChute, but I'm pretty sure LBRY, I think both of them aren't even serving ads, at least right now. So if you're watching ThemeTube and you're getting a ton of ads, first of all, just so you know, I don't get that money. That's basically ThemeTube stealing from me. But I don't want anything to do with those evil effers. So I've never accepted their blood money. It's good. I don't want none of that CIA blood money. But you can watch all these videos without ads. And not to mention, like I said, numerous times we've had to upload to ThemeTube and just take out a bunch of really good parts because it immediately gets blocked on ThemeTube. So the videos of ours that are on those other sites that I don't recommend you try out have our full video, and soon it'll be the only place to get our videos. If this one gets taken down, I'm pretty much, that's it for ThemeTube. And yeah, so, you know, change is about you making change. You can't sit around waiting for other people. I remember a while ago, like a year ago, people would be like, why don't you, Jeff, start up your own thing like LBRY? And I'm like, because I'm busy and it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of expertise to do something like that. And that's not even my expertise, but someone else did it, which is awesome. But I get way too many of that. Why don't you, or people say, why don't you lead this freedom movement? Why don't you? What is it with people? Like, you can't, if you're going to be that lazy and you want someone else to do it for you, you're not going to have a good life. I guarantee it. So why don't you do it, is always my response. And speaking of that, I found this great little channel. I found it in the comments on one of our BitChute videos, and it's called Bearish on Banksters, and the host is Mr. Snuggles. I'll put a link to it down below so you can check it out and subscribe to their channel. But I thought it was pretty funny.
Why do people like anarcho-capitalism? Well, it means government can't force you to do shit. Like fight their wars, or tell you what you can write, or think, or buy, or sell, or believe, or not believe, or say, or pretty much anything else. And most importantly, they can't make you pay to support the corrupt, tapeworm polititards who are banksters, bunghole gigolos. But my free services, my free government services, counter-slave think statists. How do I get my free stuff? Well, it was never free, dumbass. And now, neither are you. So, boo! 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 You had freedom in your hands, and you gave it up. Find Jeff Berwick and watch him. Like him. Share him. Hi, Lucy.
So that's great. More people putting out really interesting content. That's what really helps. And I like the style of that one. That's pretty funny. So I have a new theory about why Kill Gates became Dr. Evil. It's very dangerous people. I should call the cops. Shouldn't be out of their house. Hola, buenas tardes. Like I said, in order to actually survive the next couple years, almost everyone watching this video is going to have to do something. And it could be a lot too. Like, this isn't going to be sit at home, get your popcorn ready. There's not going to be any popcorn, and the cops are going to smash down your house and put you in the camps if you haven't agreed to the vaccines. But I have a theory about how Kill Bill became one of the most evil people in human history. And I put it yesterday, the Corber Report has a great sort of very research, fact-based, not just my meanderings, sort of a video on his history a little bit. It doesn't even cover a lot of it, actually, and they're going to do another part. If you haven't seen that, I'll put the link to it again down below because it's really good.
It was Gates who sponsored the meeting that led to the creation of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, a global public-private partnership bringing together state sponsors and big pharmaceutical companies whose specific goals include the creation of healthy markets for vaccines and other immunization products. As a founding partner of the alliance, the Gates Foundation provided $750 million in seed funding and has gone on to make over $4.1 billion in commitments to the group. Gates provided the seed money that created the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, a public-private partnership that acts as a finance vehicle for governmental AIDS, TB, and malaria programs. When a public-private partnership of governments, world health bodies, and 13 leading pharmaceutical companies came together in 2012 to accelerate progress toward eliminating or controlling 10 neglected tropical diseases, there was the Gates Foundation, with $363 million of support. When the Global Financing Facility for Women, Children, and Adolescents was launched in 2015 to leverage billions of dollars in public and private financing for global health and development programs, there was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as a founding partner with a $275 million contribution. When the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations was launched at the World Economic Forum in Davos in 2017 to develop vaccines against emerging infectious diseases, there was the Gates Foundation, with an initial injection of $100 million.
But here's my theory. Bill is like the epitome of what you think of when you think of computer nerd. When he was younger, he probably got teased and beat up a lot, as did I, because I also was the epitome of a computer nerd when I was younger. And I think it drove him to wanting to become really rich so he could have power over those people. And of course, he came from an incredibly wealthy family. His father was good friends with the Rockefellers. So it was pretty much baked in the cake that he was going to do well, just like George W. Bush. That guy in real life, he'd be the guy who works like outside of football games, like trying to sell you like a visor or something. That's all he would have been, because he's that dumb. But when you got the right bloodline, you're in the right family, you're the president. You get to bomb people now. So Bill was always going to do well, just because of his family. But I think just, you know, being the super nerd, like how much of a nerd do you have to be that you're the richest man on earth and your wife is heinous looking? like everybody knows if you got tons of money, you can get a pretty hot wife. That's not, I don't believe having a hot wife is the end all be all, but it is definitely an option. Just look at that. Who was that blonde bimbo girl from the 80s or 90s who married the 95-year-old guy in a wheelchair? Forget her name. She's really ditzy. She was on all kinds of Prozac and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the point is, but it's clear that, well, Bill is I don't think he has an ounce of testosterone in his body. He's the most estrogenic man I think I've seen in a long time. So he's obviously not interested in women. And I think, here's my theory now. I think it was around the year 2000 and Bill got hit by like 3 pies from guys on the street. Wouldn't it be crazy, and it's totally possible, if that was the moment Bill decided, okay, I've got most of the money, I'm still getting hit by pies. Or I guess in his voice it'd be like, okay, I guess I got most of the money. With his grin. So I just got hit by pies. So maybe I'll kill all these people. Wouldn't that be incredible if that's what really happened? And it is totally possible. He just decided at that point, okay, I got all the money, but I'm still getting like picked on and people hitting me in the face with pies. So I'm going to devise a way to become even more rich and kill almost everyone and make them completely slaves. It's a totally possible thing that might have happened. So at the time, many people might have been saying, good for you hitting Gates in the face with a pie. And in retrospect, it's like, man, I wish you guys didn't do that, because now we're all about to become slaves and completely impoverished under his technocracy, medical martial law system. And we're starting to see all over the world lots and lots of problems, and this is not going to stop. This hasn't even started yet. In Lebanon, and I like Lebanon a lot. I've been there at least once, I think maybe even twice. Amazing place. One of my favorite places, really, Beirut. Especially back in the old days when I was like, you know, out at clubs and stuff. I'm done with that, by the way. Like, I'm just done with that. If I never see a club or anything like that again, I'll be very happy. But in those days, I liked it. I was back in my late 30s probably. And man, I'd go out to the casino, which was super cool. It was like James Bond style. Play poker, there was lots of tables playing poker. Go out afterwards, amazing restaurants. Go out to bars, amazing bars with beautiful women. And now, it's just been totally destroyed by basically the government, and now in tandem with this, I don't want to say the word, putting people in your house. And there's been riots on the street now, and this is going to happen in a lot of places.
The streets of Lebanon's second city are transformed into a battle zone at night. Protesters lobbing petrol bombs at the military, undeterred by the tear gas and rubber bullets, as they defy the nighttime coronavirus curfew. Picking up where they left off before the pandemic, an uprising against the ruling establishment and living conditions that have gotten even worse. A currency that's lost more than half its value, soaring food prices and rising unemployment.
And all over something that still hasn't killed as many people as the 2018 flu. That one was way worse in terms of hospitalizations and deaths, although they're starting to catch up on deaths because they're saying if you go skydiving and you die, you just hit the ground, your parachute didn't open, they'll say, well, he might have had COVID, or they might do this like very basic test, which kind of tests to see if you had stress stuff in your body, which you definitely would be as a skydiver, and that'd be a COVID death. So it's just unbelievable. And in fact, we're hearing from so many people that the main reason that some people are dying is because they're saying they have this thing when they don't know if they do or not, and they probably don't. And the hospitals in the US get paid $13,000 if they have a virus patient. And if they put them on a respirator, they get paid almost $40,000. So what did a lot of hospitals do? It's like they're all empty. They're all going to go bankrupt. Well, anyone even walks in here. A guy comes in, he's like, I just banged my knee into the side of a table and it hurts. Can you look at it, doctor? And they're like, sure. Virus, check. How's your breathing? Well, you know, I've been smoking for 40 years, but it's not bad. Doctor, I think we need to put you on a ventilator. You might have the virus. And then they make him sign, none of your family can come in. They make him sign, do not resuscitate. Then they blow out his lungs and he dies. It's been shown 80% of the people in NY hospitals have died as soon as they're put on this thing. And for obvious reasons, a lot of nurses and doctors have come out and said, you don't do that, that'll blow their lungs out. And so here, I saw an article, where'd Lucy go? Lucy! I saw an article on CNN. I check it to see what the stupidest stuff of the day is. And the headline for this one was, the man came home from the hospital to die. His son found a way to keep him alive. So the basics of this story, and these are stories, by the way, they're not like fully true. That's why they call them stories. They're telling you a story. It's why it's called television programming. It's programming your mind. So anyway, in the story from CNN, they said this old guy who wasn't doing very well, all of a sudden had a fever and a cough. Oh my gosh, so his body was trying to get rid of some toxins. So they took him to the hospital. Worst, stupidest thing to do, in my opinion. And they wanted to put him on those respirators and stuff, but something happened and the doctor said something like, you know, it's just probably better if you just take him home to die. It'll be better than if he stays here and dies. And the guy just had a fever and a cough and a bit of fluid in his lungs. So the guy was super lucky because if they put him on a respirator, he almost 100% would have died. So the story is the son took him home and miraculously his dad lived. He was like giving him vitamins and stuff and giving him some like air that he already had because this guy was already in bad shape. He already slept with oxygen. So they just gave him some oxygen and yeah, he was fine. And they're like, it was a miracle. It's like, no, it's not a miracle at all. The miracle is that he somehow got out of that hospital before they killed him. Yeah, that's the world we live in now. We even had that nurse a few days ago come out and say that they're on purpose doing this and they all have non-resuscitation orders in an empty hospital.
Family is not there. They have no one to answer to. No one is being held accountable. A code was called and no one came. So sometimes they're not even resuscitating people. Again, left to rot and die. They're not given blood because we know that the blood is not oxygenated in these COVID patients. We know that. There are doctors all around the world sounding the alarms. These are the drugs that work. This is the pathophysiology of the disease. This is what's happening.
So there's hardly anyone there and they're like, yeah, well, we're so busy. We need you to sign this. And we need your family to all leave the room while we basically shove stuff down your throat that'll kill you. So yeah, good times in the US. And now with the super, super deadly virus, it's so bad. Everyone I know is dying. Everyone. Lucy's almost dying. Lucy, you okay? Any minute now. Any minute. I got the sniffles. The New York police, here's the story again. NYPD chief of department says, we're past the point of warnings when it comes to social distancing. And the article goes on to say, you might say it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know about you, ever been in New York? I've never met a Mr. Nice Guy cop. The New York police will be out in force at parks, beaches, and playgrounds. Yeah, get those playgrounds, cops. This weekend to make sure New Yorkers don't get up close and personal with each other. That everyone observes social distancing. Barbecues, large gatherings of people together, organized sport events, people hanging together trying to drink. We'll be breaking these up. We'll be actively involved, Monahan said. People who are just walking together, exercising, on a blanket with their family, those are not people we're going to bother. They don't have a mask, we'll give them a mask. How Vegas rules. It's like, if you're sitting on a chair, we're going to extort you, beat you up, or kidnap you. But if you're standing beside the chair, we're not, okay? It's all for your protection here in the land of the free. Home of the brave, by the way. If it was the home of the brave, most people would be outside working. They might have spent a little while looking up for themselves. What is this? They'd see, oh, the death rate's very low. Dr. Fauci said in the New England Journal of Medicine, it looks like about the same as an average flu, a 0.1% death rate. He said that about a month ago. And people might have saw that and said, you know, I don't see anyone dying around here. And even Dr. Fauci, you got to listen to him. He's super smart and not at all just bought off by the Clintons. Even he said it's not that deadly. So if you were brave, you might go, you know, maybe it's better I go to work and actually do something and make money and do services for people so that they don't run out of food. But no, land of the brave is definitely not a very good way of describing the Estados Unidos, as they say it here. And a farmer just came out in the US and is talking about how they're having to destroy everything and the government's actually telling them to do it.
Hey everybody, this is Shad Sullivan coming to you from the headwaters of Bitter Creek, Archer County, North Texas. We have to talk. State officials will be assisting to help identify potential alternative markets if a producer is unable to move animals and, if necessary, advise and assist on depopulation and disposal methods. Ladies and gentlemen, we are plowing under vegetable crops from coast to coast. We are euthanizing millions of chickens. We are aborting sows and burying feeder pigs. We are dumping milk by the hundreds of thousands of gallons, and now they are preparing us to depopulate the fat cattle ready to harvest because of a bottleneck created by the effects of COVID. This thing hasn't been created by COVID, but the effects of COVID and the logistics therein. We are in trouble. Our food supply is in trouble, and I am appealing to producers and consumers across the nation to start calling. Yesterday, the first shipment of imported beef from the country of Namibia hit the shores of the United States of America. And yet this morning, they are telling us to prepare to euthanize harvest-ready cattle. Am I the only one that sees a problem in this? It is time we get the American people back to work. It is time we get money flowing. It is time we get food on the shelves. Because if you're not concerned about this food supply problem, you better be.
So if you thought this was bad so far, just get ready for, I don't know how long. I'm not an expert in food transportation and stuff like that, but I would not doubt within a couple of weeks, people are still locked in their houses. They're all bankrupt. They're all on government welfare now. And if that, and the grocery stores that are still out open, which are like the big ones who buy off all the politicians like Walmart, have basically nothing in them. It looks like Venezuela. It's already starting to look like Venezuela in the US. How many times did I say that over the years? The US will soon start looking like Venezuela. And it's not just what's going on right now, it's stuff that's been going on for decades. Adios. Very dangerous here in Mexico. Everyone waving at me. So if people don't wake up soon, this is going to get into the biggest event in human history, all over basically nothing. So we'll see what happens. I've, of course, been saying what you should be doing for a while now. I've actually been saying for, I think, almost a year now. Get a garden. Grow your own food. Don't depend, because I said before, when this financial system collapses, and that's what's going on, there won't be things in the grocery stores anymore for a while. And obviously get into things like cryptos and precious metals. Even today, the cryptos are up again today. Just like I said was going to happen. And I think this is just the beginning. With the trillions of dollars. Oh, it's a little poke. Hola. Hola. With all the money printing, trillions and trillions of dollars, bailouts that far exceed all other bailouts in US government history combined, all in the matter of a few weeks, and more to come. Yep, we're headed towards food shortages, hyperinflation, and even famines in some places.
The spread of coronavirus have led to food insecurity across the globe, but the director of the World Food Program says the worst is actually yet to come. David Beardsley is also a former governor of South Carolina and recently recovered from a case of COVID-19 himself. He warned CBS News that the world may see a global humanitarian catastrophe.
We have really got a lot of work to do. We've got to work out these issues immediately. Otherwise, we're going to have famines unlike anything we've ever seen in history.
Beasley also said he could see the UN General Assembly coming together virtually if the coronavirus pandemic is still an issue when it's time for them to meet again in September.
And a lot of that was mentioned in the Bible, by the way. I'll get into that another day, but a lot of the apocalypse stuff, all the stuff happening is exactly what they said was going to happen. And just coming from Acapulco, as I said, man, there's a lot of people really hurting. They normally survive on very little, and now they have almost nothing. So like I said, I've been donating money. I'm going to donate some more. Donated $5,000 last time I was there. We have people there who could take out the food to the people most in need. And we've done this before, actually. When there was a flood in Acapulco about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I don't remember. We set up a fund just like this, and people donated thousands of dollars, and we gave up food, some medicinal supplies that people needed, shelter stuff like clothes, because the government's not going to do it, that's for sure. And it's the same thing here. And I see we've already raised over $1,000 from people that I'll soon be sending over, probably later today, because it's very dire need right now. Basically, as soon as I can, I'll send it over, and we'll make sure we show the receipts for the food being bought and show the video or photos of us handing it out. And we'll just continue that for as long as people can or want to donate until this whole crisis that's been manufactured is over and these people can earn a living again. And you can do that at dollarvigilante.com/ACA if you'd like to do that. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated. I'm sure we'll have photos or videos, and so you'll be able to see how your transfer of currency actually ended up as currency energy in someone else's body. It's pretty magical when you think about it. But for a lot of people, they got to just think about themselves right now. If you don't have enough food in your house, make sure you get that sorted ASAP. Grow your gardens, get into precious metals and cryptos. We're just putting out the next newsletter. I'm actually working on it right now. I see most of the guys are done. Lucy. And might be out tomorrow, which is, or today, or might be out Monday, but right away. And I actually have some really good insights. So if you've got some capital and you want to learn some really interesting ways of how I am going to try to make even more than I normally would using leverage and even loans, because the currency is going to be worthless. This is the easiest thing in the world right now, is to take out loans from various forms. You can take out loans based on your crypto, and you can take loans based out on your precious metals, and they couldn't care less what your credit score is. They will hold your precious metals or crypto as their, I forget what the word is when you do that, their collateral. That's what it is. So anyway, I'm going to be writing all about that. Tons of information. We actually have so many people writing on this issue. It's going to be like 50 plus pages, tons of information that can really help save your life and also help you prosper during all this. So make a lot of money. You can get it all at dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. I think I'll leave it there. I've noticed like they've really slowed down on the panic stuff. Like I go to CNN.com now and they actually have other stories on there, and they have very little about, they always have someone, this person just died of the virus, but nowhere near like they used to. So they're kind of rolling it back now, I think. So we'll see what happens. Might be a bit of a rollback if enough people stand up, get out of your houses. And if so, then we'll be going into basically, it might be okay even for a couple of months until people start really getting back into the economy. We'll never have an economy like we had before. So this is our new normal. And then as more and more people are getting a little bit more involved, then we start heading into the hyperinflation, and then Kill Bill brings his epidemic doses, or two, as he says.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1. For pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1. Most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterrorism.
And then we go through this all again in the winter. Hopefully by then, we've gotten a lot of people out of where they need to get out of. So if you're sitting there and going, man, I wish I listened before, I wish I wasn't sitting in New York City right now, you might still have a chance, but not very much longer. So really subscribe to our newsletter. This is where we help people to do these things, because we knew this kind of stuff was coming. We didn't know how, but we knew it was coming. And it's exceeded our expectations in how big this is. This is a worldwide human historical event of, I think, never before seen proportions. And it's really just getting started. We're going to see so many things go down. So many problems. We could see food shortages if this does not stop like yesterday. Unemployment like we've never seen. Companies going under. Hyperinflation. So I'm trying to finish my book on it. We'll see if I do. It's almost like not a priority, because I'd rather do these videos, which I can get out the information in real time to people. That's important, rather than writing a kind of a more historical thing about how we all got here and all that kind of stuff. But I'll work on that. What do you think, Lucy?
Yeah, that sounds good. Nice walk today, and I wouldn't mind an apple and some water, and you know what else? Maybe a couple tacos, and then I'll give you the kisses.
You've seen the Dollar Vigilante on mainstream media trolling the fake news, and seen Jeff Berwick travel inside places like Venezuela and Cuba to expose the truth about what's happening in those socialist paradises. To get even more, make sure to subscribe to the Dollar Vigilante newsletter to receive 2 full 30-plus page issues from the Dollar Vigilante each month, plus market alerts on precious metals, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and gold mining stocks by going to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. Click on the link in the notes below or go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe to find out more.